if we're serious about freedom of religion, and I'm speaking now to my fellow Christians who remain the majority in this country, we have to understand attack on one faith is an attack on all our faiths.
The Council on American-Islamic Relations applauded the president's visit, saying it's a step in the right direction that will hopefully, it says, encourage leaders to push back against rising Islamophobia.
We've asked him to make such a visit for a number of years now.
Ibrahim Hooper is the communications director for the Council on American-Islamic Relations. He says Muslim Americans are more afraid now than at any time in history, even after 9/11.
Thanks to Donald Trump and Ben Carson and others, Islamophobia has been mainstreamed, which makes it all the more dangerous.
We found President Obama's speech to be both timely and effective in its message. He hit upon all of the right notes.
The president did decide to come out and speak to the Muslim community at this mosque and project this message of promoting religious pluralism in our society, especially during a time when we're witnessing so much anti-Muslim sentiment, not just in society, but also from political leaders and candidates running for public office.
They believe that all the Muslims are out to kill them or hurt them or lie to them or cheat them or do something. That's the belief, and that's a stereotype.
We're teaching people how to build bridges and how to really bridge that gap between the Muslim community and the rest of society.
Unfortunately, we hear it far too often. Stories of young women getting their headscarves, religious headscarf, pulled off in school, or being called Osama or terrorist, obviously referencing something very hateful and negative.
In the spring, a diversity training program was successfully launched in one Oklahoma City school. CAIR directors tell Fox 25 the new goal to put the class that promotes peace and understanding on as many campuses as possible.
Plans are now underway for the second annual Muslim Day at the Capitol. It's organized by the Oklahoma Council on American-Islamic Relations. More than 200 Muslims from around the state are expected at the event on February 26th. Now, the goal is to connect with lawmakers and promote civic engagement, equality, and social justice. More than 150 people took part in this event last year.
The now vacant First Church of Christ Scientist in Palos Park is about to become a mosque. It also showed up in mailboxes and on some buildings. The flyer states the mosque will bring large Muslim families moving into your neighborhoods, some with 20 living in a single home. People will be moving out of the area and property values will decrease.
We find the flyer to be a nasty, deplorable, racist, bigoted flyer filled with lies and fear-mongering, and it's anonymous for a reason, because even the people who put it together are ashamed to associate with it.
The Council on American-Islamic Relations today asked King County prosecutors to pursue the maximum punishment. CAIR Washington Director Arsalan Bakari says nationwide 2015 saw a record number of hate crimes against American Muslims.
Hate speech does result in hate crimes. We're seeing examples of that nationwide, and unfortunately we're seeing one more example right here in Northgate.
January 2015, this employee for the Council on American-Islamic Relations San Diego office, known as CAIR, testified John Wessinger left a threatening voicemail that he would shoot her and employees, making references in an email to religion and firepower.
In no way did we deserve the terror that Mr. Wessinger waged on us.
Wessinger pleaded guilty. He also had an AR-15 at his home and made threats to the National CAIR office in D.C.
2 students won't be returning to Washington Latin Public Charter School after sending a bomb threat from a Muslim student's email account.
Well, obviously we're shocked, but we're not surprised, given the unprecedented level of anti-Muslim bigotry we're seeing in our nation. While it's troubling, we would hope that our nation's leaders would speak out against this rising Islamophobia in America that leads to these kinds of incidents.
Police believe hatred towards Muslims is the reason Torres opened fire that day. Employees say he visited the shop a week before the shooting and that he made several anti-Muslim comments before leaving.
This is not, however, a Muslim issue. This is a serious issue that is affecting the lives of all Americans.
Saturday, the Council on American-Islamic Relations called on the feds to investigate the crime as an act of terrorism. Executive Director Alia Salem believes the circumstances would have been different if the shooter was in fact Muslim.
We know for almost a certain fact that if this individual was identifiably Muslim, that this case would almost automatically be looked at as a potential act of domestic terrorism.
A new push is underway to add 2 more holidays to the city's municipal calendar to honor the Islamic faith. The holidays would be a day off for everyone. City Council plans to discuss that bill this week.
Rahima Shamsuddin Hampton is one of over 200,000 Muslims living in Philadelphia.
When you're growing up as a child in Islam, you're not really clear or have a clear understanding of why you can't. And there are other things that are celebrated, but you're not.
So all these myths and all these misinformation can be dispelled by simple conversation over dinner.
There are a number of people who have the wrong idea of what Islam is, and we just have to be reminded of what our pillars are and what we stand on, and that some of the things that are happening is not Islam.
The 2 holidays, which would mean a day off for all, fall on different days each year. A 5-year calendar has been presented to the city.
Where you have individuals who are taking a religion and hijacking it, if you will, and speaking to things that have nothing to do with the tradition yet. That needs to be drowned out with efforts like this.
Alia Salem with the Council on American-Islamic Relations says the declaration shows the world there are Muslim leaders challenging extremism.
Workers at a manufacturing company in Wisconsin say they're angry after the business changed its policy regarding prayer time at work. Arians, maker of snow blowers and lawnmowers, used to allow Muslim employees to leave the production line twice during a shift to pray. Now the company is asking those employees to pray during scheduled breaks. But critics say the break times are not scheduled during Muslim prayer times. Employees are calling the change discrimination, and the Council on American-Islamic Relations is calling on the company to reverse its policy.